Hello, everyone. I'm Sébastien Badault. I'm the EVP of Ledger Enterprise. I'm super happy to host this panel. It's sandwiched between a panel on culture and a panel on sports, and we're going to talk about finance. So hope we're going to keep you guys engaged, but it is something really special. I really want to thank our three panelists that are going to introduce themselves just now, because they all came from far away to be here today. So we work together in various ways. We're partners in many different aspects. And it's definitely something super positive, and it's a testament to our relationship that you guys are on stage. So if you can just introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and then we'll talk a little bit more about Canton.
Thank you very much. Great to be here. I'm Eric. I'm one of the co-founders of Digital Asset. We're the company behind the Canton network, processes trillions of dollars a month in RWA volume, and I'm responsible for network strategy.
Hi, I'm Bediss. I'm leading the business teams at Kaiko. So Kaiko, we're a market data and analytics and regulated indices company, as well as data infrastructure, working with quite a few bunch of people to bring products into your hands.
My name is Dennis Bree. I lead the global go-to-market team for a company called Figment. We're a validator, so we essentially allow institutions to access blockchains and participate in the safest possible way. Our customers look like anything from international banks to crypto-native hedge funds.
Amazing. And so what we want to talk about today is, building the foundation. How do you basically create something new that's basically going to be the future of finance? And what we wanted to highlight is, the work that Eric and the Canton team have been doing for now 10 years. So Eric, if you can explain a little bit, what was the vision behind Canton when you started out building it, and where you are today in the project?
Yeah, sure. So we started, we've been at this 11 plus years at this point, so similar time frame to Ethereum, and I've always generally said that we have a very similar destination. If you look at a 20 or 30 year horizon on something like Ethereum, the goal is to be the rails of finance for the future, and we very similar vision. The difference is how we came to market. They started retail first, they worked outside in. They said, okay, we're going to reinvent finance and we're going to rebuild everything from scratch. Very, very similar to how Napster came to market with digital music and upended the market and changed it. But we've been working the inside out. So we said, if we know the destination is that we want to work with the largest financial firms in the world, we want to move trillions and trillions of dollars, we'll make sure that it's fit for purpose at the center of the circle first. So we've been working our way inside out. And we're coming to market now at that inflection point where we're starting to move into B2B2C and peer-to-peer, more DeFi-oriented motion. Token launched about a year ago. It was a fair launch. It's being distributed through participation in the network, and listing should happen soon.
So all of us on the stage, we've partnered with Canton, and we are super validators on the network. The important thing about what you guys have done and why the market is really paying attention is that you've been able to bring on companies such as Goldman Sachs, HSBC, BNP, etc. What do you think you brought to the table that other chains or other projects didn't have for them to make that jump from TradFi into the on-chain world?
It's not technical. Understanding markets, knowing how they work, having a vision that's coherent and works with what their worldview is. So first, just being a responsible participant, someone that's an adult across the table from them. But then from a technology perspective, it's about us being very pragmatic. What do you need to do? How does it need to work? What are your very real concerns? And that was a real journey. That was easily a decade of working through some very demanding requirements. So it's just being an adult at the table. And when you think about the internet, it created a lot of new entrants, but it didn't disintermediate everybody. It didn't kill everybody. And the incumbents that adopted the internet got bigger. So I don't really believe in a world where the world will just look radically different, especially not for something that affects everyone's life every single day, the money in your pocket. And we think that it's much more likely that new tech and creates an opportunity. Some of the incumbents will survive, some of the chairs will shift around, some new things will occur, but it's not going to be a wholesale disintermediation.
And so, Dennis, when you first started talking to the guys at Canton, why did it make sense for Figment to participate, and what made sense, and why was it different from other partners that you may have had?
Yeah, as Eric said, the thing that was different about Canton is that they've been working within the financial system, and rather than trying to rebuild it, they were looking to evolve it. We support over 70 different networks. On those networks, we have something like 17 billion of assets sitting on those networks. We onboard new networks every year, and we carefully look at the quality of the team. We look at the efficacy of the chain. We look at the vision. And why we were excited about Canton is like these guys were already established. They looked at the efficacy of the chain. They solved problems, and then they launched the token. But very early on, what was interesting and distinguished Canton from other players is that the largest traditional institutions, financial institutions in the world, were stakeholders in this network. And so there was a real buy-in from finance around the efficacy of Canton. So we were excited, and we were just talking beforehand of all the chains we've launched in the last 2 or 3 years, Canton was one of the most successful for us.
And so in TradFi, obviously, data is paramount, probably one of the most important things. So I think it was natural for Kaiko to participate. What do you think? What do you bring to a compliant kind of? And I know you don't like it to be called a private network because it's not a private network, but this idea of this new network. What are you guys bringing to Canton that you may not bring to other projects, or in a different way you bring it?
Okay, let me start with a question. How many in the audience got wrongly liquidated when the market crashed and the 19 billion liquidation, massive liquidation that happened? How many of you ended up
It's okay, you can raise your hand.
You can.
Okay. You shouldn't be ashamed.
And a lot of you ended up talking with the exchanges who actually ended up raising massive funds to try to solve the claims for their users, right? Okay. We, and everything we do, we support other perpetual markets out there, like EDX, Robinhood, all of those. It went flawless. No problem of liquidations, no problem of X and Y and Z. And by the way, those problems happened also on the DeFi side of things, where the markets got completely wrecked and dislocated on Aave and so on because prices were wrong. So what we bring to Canton and what we bring to our clients in general is liability on pricing and knowing the way we do things. The very same way Charles earlier were talking about the secure element of Ledger, you can trust a partner. That doesn't mean like everybody trusts Ledger and the secure element of Ledger. That doesn't destroy the whole ethos of crypto and so on. It is the same thing with us. We work with those institutions and so on so that trading is flawless and the experience is good. And when you work with Robinhood or when you work with Ledger, the level of requirements on the user experience is extremely high. So you don't know it, but whenever you open your ledger and you see a price there that's going to make you buy, sell, or swap, it's Kaiko. And you are not knowing it, but trusting us in the process. And we are able to do so because we're 6 times audited, twice regulated. So we know how to do things, and we do it well. And when it comes to compliance and stuff and risks, that's what we bring to Canton, because it is a network where that's not an option. Everything that happens in the rest of the ecosystem in the past couple of days is stuff that shouldn't happen on Canton, being given the players that are there. Otherwise, the network is not going to be successful.
So basically, you're another adult in the room. You said that in order to build Canton, you needed to be the adult in the room, and in order for Canton to scale, you need other adults in the room to be able to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in Bitcoin since '09, and it was fun to be a degen for a while. I don't take anything away from anybody, but as we've become a much more legitimate industry, it's worth trillions of dollars. The degens have become the institutions, and their needs have gone up with it. And there are a number of firms that have matured along the way with the ecosystem that grows. It doesn't mean that we're escaping out into a whole new ecosystem of participants. It means that we get to apply the skills that we've honed over the past 10, 15 years into a bigger ecosystem. There's someone very close to our company that likes to call crypto Little League. Maybe that doesn't resonate here in France, but it's the league of baseball right before you get to the major leagues, and it's the same sport, it matters, it has the same rules, but no one's making a multi-billion-dollar paycheck in Little League. And there's the opportunity for everybody here is to graduate up into the big leagues, step in, and really evolve and change the way that finance works for everybody.
So what's the use case, right? Like the payoff, like the big league payoff that you're talking about. If you're talking about a bank that is thinking today about going on chain, et cetera, what is the use case that you would give that is a way for them to change the way that they're working today, and we need to convince them to do something new that they hadn't done before?
I don't think there's one answer. It's just if you think about velocity. Velocity is really the most important thing to think about. So the way money moves today goes through many, many, many different hops if you're sending money from the US to France. And it's not because someone's just sitting on your money going, ha, 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 this is so much fun. I'm going to hold this money for an extra 3 days. They're trying to get through the process of synchronizing all these different systems. But if that were as easy as a click of a button, and it did happen in a matter of seconds, the velocity of that money, the value of that collateral would go significantly higher. And that just means you have much less money sitting around hedging that those things don't work the way that you anticipate. And so the next major growth of GDP and efficiency in the world is going to come through a massive unlock of otherwise trapped collateral and risk money that's just sitting around as a tax on humanity.
And so, Dennis, you've been working with OGs in the crypto space, and now you're seeing a lot of people like coming in more like TradFi, et cetera. What is there like a piece of advice that you would give financial institutions that are currently like looking at this space before they enter it, like something that they really should be looking at?
I mean, it depends on the reasons that they're coming in, but we are seeing over the last 12 months the influx of institutions coming in to this space at a speed we haven't seen before. So, I mean, for the last 3 years, we talked about regulation. We've started to see that change with the Clarity and Genius Act in the US. We were surprised at how fast some of these large asset managers were moving. BlackRock, Grayscale, Bitwise, Fidelity. They moved from being an observer to a participant very quickly. And I think that's what we're seeing now around the globe, whether it's in Japan or Hong Kong. The largest institutions are moving very quickly, whether it's towards ETFs or whether it's to running nodes on Canton. It's no longer kind of thinking about or imagining what the future of finance looks like. It's being coded and it exists today.
Yeah, I think I'll echo what you said, because I think in a lot of the discussions that we've had with these financial institutions, it's not like they've been standing still for the past years, right? I think they obviously have a lot of means, and they have already a lot of developers and teams working on different plans. I think a lot of it isn't even out yet. I think a lot of it is still being built as we're talking here today. And I think there's an acceleration happening. But you and I were talking earlier, and you were saying that there are things coming down the pipe that are really going to be game changers, right? Bediss, do you see that also as well, like in terms of the different people that you talk to? Has there been a change in the type of people that you talk to?
100%. So we've seen institutions experimenting, being around, and so on. And suddenly, indeed, there is a big inflow of large institutions who are no longer in lab mode. They are now making steps towards full productivization. And in the background of that, yes, there is the change in administration in the US and so on. And you have a lot of financial institutions that are 100% leapfrogging from a state of stillness to running. Like, it's not crawl, walk, run. It's from still to sprint. Yeah. And in that race, unfortunately, Europe was early, did a lot of things early, but is still crawling, while the other way around is a sprint. So in a couple of weeks, probably the lead that Europe had is going to be outdated, very likely.
So if we look forward, so you've been building for 11 years, we've been building for 11 years, you guys have been building for a long time as well. If we look 5 years out, maybe 10 years out, what does finance look like? What does, and especially if Canton is successful, but for all of us, like if there's a real move onto on-chain, what fundamentally changes? What kind of world we'll be in 5 to 10 years?
I mean, finance will work the way you think it works today. I don't know how you guys feel, but when I'm in my phone, every other thing I interact with, when I push the button and it tells me something happened, it actually happened. Finance doesn't work at that speed. But that is going to be the thing that will change over the next 5 and 10 years, is that it will actually begin to function the way that you always thought that it really did until you started being exposed to these problems through this industry.
Dennis?
Yeah, I think finance won't talk about blockchain in 5 years. It will be blockchain. I think we could be in a scenario in 10 years where we're sitting down for lunch, we put our phones to the side, and our smart wallets within Ledger or otherwise are optimizing our portfolios, and they're doing that 24/7. So the pace of change that we'll see over the course of the next 5 years will be the fastest, I think, that we've ever experienced.
Bediss?
I agree, and more than that, I think for a long time it was a technologist type of questions. This is changing super fast because now everybody knows that there are real financial problems, aka debt, and those are being partially addressed by the industry when you know that the stablecoin issuers are among now the largest holders of US treasuries that needs to find buyers, when you know that in France, for instance, money market funds are financing banks, not govies, and you have startups like Kaiko creating tokenized money market funds that anybody can actually invest in, and they know they're not funding the bank, they're funding actually government debt. And I think that creates a level of transparency that will create new go-to-market for an actual need and a financial need and a financial problem.